Good morning to all of you. Surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, here we stand, invoking the beauty of story, the beauty of song, the beauty of memory, invoking the words of Oscar Romero. In the name of God, I order you, I beg you, stop the slaughter, stop the repression. And I suppose we've so often heard those words, we remember Roy Bourgeois and Larry Rosebaugh and Linda Ventimiglia climbing that tree in order to use the boombox and boom Romero's words out to all of Fort Benning, Georgia, remembering that Oscar Romero had said, "Me they may kill, but my blood it will rise in the Salvadoran people." But of course those words belong. Stop the repression, stop the slaughter in our hearts, because here we stand, in a sense humiliated and shamed by our own inability to stop the menacing, horrible message that the nuclear weapons send all around the world. If you do not subordinate yourselves to serve our national interest, we are prepared, we are ready to eliminate you, to slaughter you. And it seems so incompatible with what we know of ourselves as good people, as neighbors, as friends. And yet, that's the shame, the terrible shame that we bear. You know, I've had such a good chance being here to kind of unburden my heart in a sense with so many people about the youngsters, the teenagers, who have been my teachers of late, young people from Afghanistan. And really I've been carrying with me that sense of horror, remembering all of the little lives snuffed out in Iraq, those children that we witnessed dying in hospital beds because of economic sanctions against Iraq. They should have been teenagers now, and we've lost all of their lives. So I'd like to just go back to the Gospel of Mark for a moment to remember with you a particular teenager we know almost nothing about. But in the Gospel of Mark, which is structured so that every possible person supporting Jesus drops away. His own family members think he's crazy. His disciples have, in a sense, betrayed him or hid from him. But there's one teenager who hangs in there, and he wants to be with this man Jesus. But then all of a sudden he just gets struck by terrible fright because he realizes what he's up against. And he doesn't want to be tortured, he doesn't want to be slaughtered, he doesn't want to be beaten. And so he makes a run for it. He goes to run away, and somebody grabs at his loincloth, and it comes undone. And so in his nakedness and shame, he bolts, he runs. And of course, nakedness, then as now, in that culture was considered to be a sign of deep shame. Humiliated, shamed, the young boy runs away. But the wonderful storytellers coming from the earliest Christian community position a young man dressed in an immaculate white garment, dignified, who's there to greet the women, the very, very brave women who won't let the crucifixion, the torture, the humiliation, the shame, the inability to save oneself or ourselves be the final word. And they go because they want to roll away the stone that blocks the tomb and do ministrations to the body of their friend Jesus. And they get there, and there's the young man dressed in the immaculate white garment. And he has very few words for them. The one whom you seek is gone. Don't be afraid, and go tell everyone. And so in spite of our shame over being unable to save the people who every single day, through hunger, through torment, through the inability to save their children, are menaced by our weapons and by our warmongering, in spite of our collective shame over not being able to stop the repression and to stop the slaughter, we yet may hear those words of the young man who holds out such hope, and the women who come to the tomb and hold forth hope. Don't be afraid. Go tell everyone. When I was in Lebanon in 2006. I felt that deep and abiding shame because we walked into the funeral for a child, Zahara, and she had been killed by a Raytheon manufactured bunker buster, and the families had placed their children in the subterranean basement because engineers had assured them there's nothing that the Israelis have that can attack this fortified building. This is the safest place in town. And they just didn't know that Condoleezza Rice at that very time was telling the Israelis, don't sign a ceasefire, we can get you the Raytheon manufactured bunker buster. And so the bunker buster burrowed through the ground, and the children that died were immaculate in their bodies, because what killed them was the force of the implosion destroying their internal organs. And so the mother, Zahara, at the funeral, saw Westerners suddenly coming around the corner. They don't even know where they are, and we'd walked right into the funeral for Zahara. And I think the mother sized us up, and I started to realize she must be the mother of a child who'd been killed, because women were coming to offer their condolence and to embrace her. And she herself had a neck brace and a medical hood because she had been damaged when the bomb had exploded. And so overhead, and I didn't even know what it was at the time, was a drone doing more surveillance over the scene of funereal grief. And the mother looked at me, and she winced as she raised her arm because it hurt her to do so. And she pointed overhead at the drone, still doing surveillance. And she asked me, didn't they know? Didn't they see? Just every morning my daughter runs back to me, only we put her in that basement because we want to save her. And then she asked her son to bring a picture, and it was a picture of her daughter's beautiful face, a very serious face. You could just imagine the smile breaking out over that face, tousled hair, round, deep, dark eyes. And Zahara, the mother, tapped the plastic over the photo, and she asked me a question. She asked me, is she the terrorist? Is she the terrorist? And then she asked me another question. Who is the terrorist? And so to look in the mirror together, and so to feel as though the loincloth is being unraveled and we're naked in our shame, and so to voice the collective deep, we're sorry, we're so very sorry, we want to change, we want to see, we want to abolish war. And so to hang on to that claim for dear life, yes, we want to abolish war. We want to stop the wars. And so to gather together, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, believing in nonviolence, believing that yes, we shall overcome. And so to gather together, ready to say that we will not let inconvenience get in the way of acting in accord with that deep, profound desire to end war. Let us step across the line. Let us get arrested today. Let us say together, we shall overcome. And do so in the name of all of those people surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, including the teenagers in a generation to come who will inherit what we try to sow as seeds here today. I speak with great thanks to every single one of you for your goodness, for your care, for your yearning for peace. Gracias a la vida. Thank you. Gracias.